Oh, yeah,
All right.
hello, everybody. Welcome. Ethan, take it away.
Oh, hello everybody, and welcome to DM Writer's Room. This is our show on Twitch and YouTube where we try to sort of demystify the process of DMing and coming up with adventures. This started a year and a half ago now, we have just discovered, when basically we were talking about content that we wanted to create, and we stumbled upon the fact that there's lots of tips about DMing, and there's lots of like advice about how to structure your adventures, but there's no content that is here is how I do it step by step. It's not out there. And so we really wanted to give an opportunity to see the pretty occasionally very messy process of trying to like staple together what the adventure looks like. Most of our first major portion of that was working on our fabulous world of Prospect, which we occasionally return to, and then we started looking into smaller adventures. Right now, we are writing, are taking a crack at what is basically a brief campaign. Not super short, but I think 6 or 7 levels, where you are fighting or dealing with a sorcerer gone mad with power, the Sunburst. I have a name, Althander Rylus the Sunburst. A sorcerer from not an age long past, but from an adventure long past, who, upon discovering that there was this massive source of power in the realm of chaos, legally distinct from limbo, slaughtered the rest of his adventuring party so that he could work in secret to try to find a way to bring the massive power available to him there into the waking world. We quickly established a brief run of what that adventure would look like, where you start in a small town called Willowbrook, where a young sorcerer has been kidnapped. You chase down the would-be kidnappers, deal with them, and then discover that they are connected to a larger conspiracy centered around 3 people that are working together. A fighter named Romagon Brentis, who has been terrorizing the countryside, kidnapping magic users left and right, and delivering them mysteriously to some other benefactor. He takes them, and they are ushered off to somewhere. A barbarian named Mulgar, who has been destroying sites of power all across the lands to destabilize the magical weave, and Selzathine the Magpie, a blue dragon who has been collecting magic items. These 3 create a damning cycle where an area is discovered, its sites of power are destroyed, its magic wielders are taken, and its magic items are taken, and it is left a mundane hole in the ground. In different areas of our campaign space, those things are sort of in different concentrations. The closer you get to where Romagon is, the closer you are to that conspiracy. The closer you are to where Mulgar is, the closer you are to that conspiracy. We have flushed out a lot of these areas, but now it is time to deal with the plot hooks. It's time to take a close look at one character's area and flush it out enough that a DM can run the adventure there. An important note to attune ourselves to, because in our earlier DM Writer's Room, we sort of wandered away from this. Our goal is not to very prescriptively say, do this, and then do this, and then do that, and then do this, because that is something that all 3 of us talked about not liking about the published adventures put out now. We are just trying to populate the area, flush it out enough that we can hand it off to a DM and say, do with this what you will. So, we are beginning in the area of one Romagon Brentis. I will recap Romagon's whole deal. Romagon is an aged duelist who has begun to slow with the ravages of time, who has made a deal with Althander Rylus for eternal youth. To expedite this process, Romagon has been hunting down magic users and delivering them to Althander, who through some foul means, which we have yet to canonize, has been consuming them to collect their magic. This has led to the institution of a pretty dire police state in the area. Romagon, who is also the Duke of this area, has really taken a stranglehold with the assistance of Lestra Fellsmith, the captain of his guard. Romagon is currently, when we meet him, we know what the large plot goal is. Romagon is looking for an incredibly powerful, as of yet unnamed, item of power that he plans to use to power a scrying pool that will allow him to, unfortunately, in sort of an X-Man Cerebro kind of thing, attune to and find all of the magic users within a, 10-mile radius of this town that we find him in. Pretty dire consequences if this mission is failed. So that's where we're at. We were each supposed to bring a couple of plot hooks. I hope that was all at least parsable. The adventure's getting big enough that it's getting kind of difficult for us to sort of keep a good head on our shoulders. So we are currently at one of 4 areas of the game, focusing on one villain and the plot hooks that surround their major goal of getting this thing, whatever it is. We need to name the town, we need to establish plot hooks, and we need to figure out what he's trying to steal.
Yeah, let's first things first. Pull up the big old list of names that we have, because this was one of our previous jobs. Was 1, names for people, and then 2, names for towns. So we have to sit here and go, oh.
So here is what we still have up for grabs. I'm crossing out the few that we no longer have. We have Kelleran. Oh, why did he do that?
Classic maneuver. I think somebody probably knocked on the door and walked in.
I know, but our whole setup just got messed up. I'm going to switch to the scheduling conflicts screen. Nope, that's not going to work.
Nice.
Back to the computer screen.
Oh. Hey, everybody, you can picture our faces.
Yeah, you can see my forehead, and if I do this...
You see me right now?
I can see the top of your head in one window and the bottom of your mouth in the other. So between the two, we're pretty good.
That's good enough.
Sorry, everybody. Somebody did I look like I'm drowning. Somebody did an unapproved thing. Now we look like this. Okay. The names that we have up are Kelleran, Crimstein, Willowbrook is taken, Orlacath, Lancer's Point, Knightsbrook, Ember's Way, Crystalwood, Bloodmane's Grove is taken, High Shield is taken. High Shield is the capital where you will eventually fight Althander Rylus. Bloodmane's Grove is where you will fight the Barbarian. Willowbrook is where we start. So the options we have left are Kelleran, Crimstein, Orlacath, Lancer's Point, Knightsbrook, Ember's Way, and Crystalwood.
Lancer's Point all the way, because we got High Shield for the final area. This being like the sword or the lance to the king's shield, I think is perfect.
Okay, just like last time, we assigned one of these names. Again, hello everybody, if you are tuning in now, we're just having a technical difficulty, don't worry about it.
It'll be solved in like 30 seconds.
Lancer's Point, it will be solved in 3 seconds.
There, sorry.
Yeah, there we go. You're good.
Yeah, Lancer's Point. Why is it called that? Why is it called Lancer's Point?
It's a great first question. First things first, it is mountainous. It's on a point. That's easy. It's not a flat meadow that would make any sense for a
Yeah,
place
is
called
it
Point.
mountainous? I like. Another thought I'm coming to is that there was a very important battle here.
Mm-hmm.
And Lancer's Point is just the name that is a result of that. That there was like some major fight here. If there's
Makes
a major
sense.
fight here, it tells me, because this is high fantasy, and that's one of our prompts, that there is obviously a lance stuck into the ground somewhere that nobody has been able to pull since it was placed there. That's just like right on the tin. Michael, what's up?
If I could change it from something a little bit different, instead of in like a stone, it's in the hand of somebody, the hand of a statue.
Love that.
I was gonna say not even in the hand of a statue, in the hand of a corpse that won't let it go.
Sure.
What is, I do feel the need to ask, Michael, you are currently bright red illuminated by something. What?
Oh,
It's the
yes.
game. He has to keep it open so it doesn't kick him out.
Okay, just
Yes,
wanted to check in.
There we go. I can look at
It's
the
better.
Is it? Because now I look super like whited.
Now you
It's
look
better on my screen.
Now you look sort of a rosy pink rather than pumpkin orange. So
Yeah,
I'll
it
take
looks
this as a
better.
big win.
Is this better?
Yeah. So Lancer's
Alright,
Point,
I apologize.
we want to inject some straight up magic, and I'm going to tell you right now, guys, we have just solved every problem I had with this area. Welcome to Lancer's Point, the site of a famous battle. There is the dead body of a great knight still stooped against the rock where he breathed his last breath, and the magic item Romagon Brentis wants is the lance that no one can take from the dead knight's hand.
Yeah.
That's a wrap on that.
That's done.
So
We gotta-
here, for those of you at home, is a great example of how you come up with a plot line. All we knew was the name of our bad guy and his goal, and the name of this place. Lancer's Point means there's a lance, means there's a lancer. That's our magic item. That's a wrap on this
Done.
area.
For side plot hooks, I did take the after we realized that we were supposed to come with 2 because it's been like a month. I did write 2 really quick, so I can run us through those side plot hooks as well.
Sure. So let's quickly crystallize details about this, and then we'll jump into plots for the area. I'm just thrilled that this has so naturally emerged. So this lance in a corpse's hand, important battle. We don't need, and this is again, we need to try to sort of stitch advice into these. We don't need to know what they were fighting over.
Nobody's gonna ask that shit.
We need to name the war and the king, queen, or ruler who told them to come here, and we can wipe our hands of this. So it's a lance in a corpse's hand. It's an important battle. Let's name this corpse. Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Pull up the name list.
Do you want to give him like his original name, or what the townsfolk call him now?
We should
the
probably
townsfolk call him now the
do
Lancer.
both. And I will say, we need to reattune to another thing, which is we are 3 men, and so we random roll the gender of our NPCs, because boy howdy,
Yes.
do we make everyone a guy when we are
Yeah.
not left to our own devices. This world
very
is
go-to.
99.9% men, which is not good just for like
No.
biological diversity. That is the problem. So I will go over the names that I have left on my list here, and I think everybody should, if they have access to their name list, take a peek. I have the last name Denrick. I have the full name Halshin Thorndell, and I have the full name Bolden Strex.
Bolden Strex.
Is that a choice,
Uh,
or did you just like the name and repeated it?
Sir Bolden, as his family called him.
All right, Sir Bolden Strex, and because somebody roll a d6 and tell me what the result is.
Michael, do you have a D6 with you?
I do.
Because I don't. I'm not in my normal location.
4.
4. This is a man.
No!
But we came about it we came about it the good random
The
way.
morally correct
Yes.
way.
So, Sir, it's up to us. Bolden Strex died here. I'm gonna roll this time.
1,000 years ago.
I would like to introduce our viewers to one of my 3 towers of dice.
A true dice tower.
Hey, I don't know what you guys want from me. I have a dice problem, I would say. I need to check my phone. I think I have a text that I didn't answer like 45 minutes ago. This battle happened. Wow. 40 years ago. Do we want to keep that?
Not long. No. No. That's so recent.
So my goal, I was going to do a D100 times 10. And I rolled a 4. So should I just roll again? Or should I change the dice that I'm rolling?
We'll re-roll it. Minimum, it's got to be 100 years.
Okay, so let's do... All right, let me overcomplicate this with math then. So if it's minimum 100 years, we'll do 1d100 times 10 plus 100. There we go.
There we go. That'll do it.
630 years ago.
Yeah.
See, now that sounds a little better.
That's good.
That's myth right there.
630 years ago, which also, if you guys ever want to be a real DMing nerd, and this will happen to you, whether you want it to or not, if you in the future are watching this, someday you're going to learn a bunch about medieval politics and how they change over time. And ooh, we need a grain merchant in town. You don't want to learn all that stuff, but it happens. So if it's been 630 years, we actually line up pretty well, because the concept of like dukes and duchies is a much later concept than, you know, the sort of like king, knights, queen, knights, like that sort of things are pretty separated by time. So Sir Boldenstrex 630 years ago died here, felled by a mortal wound. We find Sir Boldenstrex. Is he leaned up against a tree or a stone?
I'm gonna put him in a tomb.
Oh, so
thinking...
he just wouldn't let go. I was thinking they couldn't move his body.
I was thinking that it's been so long, he's grown into a tree. Like a tree's grown around
He has
him.
sort of recessed.
Which would explain why they can't find it. If it's like... Let's clarify. Is the fighter looking for or trying to free from the grasp of?
I was thinking the second. I was thinking everybody knows where it is.
It's like the middle of the town.
Because it's Lancer's Point. They know where the lance is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that inside of a tree is incredible. Like, and one of the branches is the lance. One of the low branches.
So it has like fully overtaken it. So grown into a tree. What killed Boldenstrex? Was Boldenstrex felled by foul poison, killed by distant arrows? Is there a sword plunged into his chest?
Boldenstrex was the last man on the battlefield at the end of this fight, and he died to 1,000 wounds, taking his final breaths. The last one, but
okay, so
he was the last man.
Many wounds. Great. Were they fighting over something that we give a shit about?
Not 650 years ago.
Okay, so we can just call that a good old-fashioned loss to time. Nobody remembers what Boldenstrex was fighting for here. All we know is that Bolden did not surrender, and that is why there is this sort of glorification of his deeds. Is just that Bolden still has not surrendered the hill. Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm writing still has not surrendered. I just like that. Still has not surrendered.
And now we got to figure out how the fuck the party gets it out of his hand, because they're gonna want to do that in the worst way.
Yeah, and so now we just have this lance which no one can take. This lance that no one can take. We should. And trying to cut off Bolden's hand doesn't work. Trying to pry it from his hand doesn't work. Dispel magic doesn't work. People must have tried a lot of shit at this point. I don't even imagine... It sounds like you probably couldn't even cut the tree down.
No.
Go ahead.
Is there a riddle? Like an inscription with a riddle where it was like, his on his person there was this note, and it's blah 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 blah. You solve what that is. It leads you to a cave nearby where he had left his best friend's belongings. You get that, and then you figure out some
Yeah.
bigger thing, and now it's like, okay, you can retrieve it. You can retrieve the lance.
So
Is that it?
Bolden left something behind. Another thought I had was Bolden has not surrendered because like the fight isn't over. I kind of like the idea that maybe if you could have found the descendant of who Bolden was fighting and you killed them, like that would make
Brutal.
Bolden release. Like that would make Bolden's hand slacken. Because
Okay.
the fight would be over. Or maybe we could kind of mix the two and stick an undead somewhere that is the last combatant of the hill. Right?
could see
If
that.
Bolden was fighting for the forces of good, hence this pretty resplendent entombment, we could say that whoever finally killed him is cursed and is still wandering the woods. Because we seem to want a wood or a cave that somebody goes in. Spencer, what?
And we can hint at that with local rumors, like a myth that there's some undead prowling the woods every year on this date. He always takes several of our young or whatever. So that way there's like hints of a monster somewhere in the woods. You read some inscription, you find a book talking about the exploits of Bolden, and then you put two and two together, kill this thing, it'll release the lance.
I was right. I did have a text that I never answered. Oh my goodness.
Classic.
I'm about to respond. Sorry, I totally missed. Oh, it's only been 6 minutes. Okay, that's all right.
That's not bad.
It wasn't too bad. I thought it was like 20. I was like, no.
Michael, what do you think? Out of the options here, follow a series of riddles and ground guides, kill an undead that's been hinted at in town, have a different living relative. That was my third option. The final living relative is the fighter that is the main boss here, and that's why he's in charge of this area. It's been passed down through the family after having, won that battle by betraying whatever that dude's name is.
So I really like the undead. The only other thing that I was thinking was it'd be a little weird, but going into drinking some magical potion or something to give the vision of the fight he was in, and you had to go about and win it to prove your worth.
Here's the thing. That's something I would do in my own home game, but writing it out will be insane.
Yeah.
It would be wild for people to pick up and use.
It's like, did somebody? I'm stuck on. I like the idea that there is this undead somewhere.
Yeah, I think
I
so too.
love, if we want to go dark, the thought that you find out that. Okay, so I offer 3 different pitches. 1, the person who killed Bolden Strex is cursed and an undead somewhere. You have to go kill him. Then the battle is finally over, and Bolden never surrendered. They just won. And they release their grasp knowing that the fight is over. That's kind of fun. Number 2, flip side of that coin, somebody was supposed to be there with Bolden, a deserter. You have to find them, and they need to atone in some way. They are an undead. I just like the undead. Number 3, you know, it's like only, the descendant of the person who is responsible for the slaughter here has to be found and killed, and that will do it. And that's what Romagon is doing. He's furiously looking through records, trying to find family records that connect the general of this opposing force to a living descendant. Furiously, he looks and looks and looks. The party eventually discovers Romagon Brentis is that descendant, so he could never have taken the lance. He would have to be dead for the lance to be taken. That's fun in an ironic way. It's kind of a book move more so than an adventure move. I'm not sure what the players do with that information once they have it. Like, they'll just be like, oh, okay. They're going to want to kill Romagon anyways.
That's what I was going to say. We need it to be something else because Romagon is already hit list number 1. You kill him, the lance drops, and they don't go in with this plot hook. They're going to go, what the fuck is that about? It doesn't land as well. The lance should be a separate kill an undead in the woods or in a cave or in a mausoleum or whatever.
Let's go through our plot hooks and see if any of those feel better than this. I feel like we're kind of going in circles. We're going to keep working on this for a little too long. Let's take advantage of these plot hooks that we have hastily come up with.
All right.
And see what the vibe is.
I've got 2. Again, these are side plot hooks. These aren't necessarily going to tie in. Plot hook 1. There's an underground group of magic users who are stuck in town. You're approached by a sympathizer to the cause who asks you to aid them in their escape. That is quick and dirty.
That's pretty good, though.
Number 2, Romagon Ring. Romagon is hosting an event where the greatest fighter or group of fighters will be given access to his private abode. The party needs to win the competition, gain access, and then steal something?
Okay, all right. Okay, there is a magic mirror that turned somebody into a wild magic sorcerer a long time ago. Romagon is looking for it. It is an item off in the woods somewhere that people want to find very badly. I'm imagining, like, if you're thinking Forgotten Realms, like the ancient elven civilization before they mostly collapsed at the end of, like, that age. That's sort of where I'm at. I'm thinking, like, pre-Sundering kind of deals. And I have to take notes on my own idea. Magic mirror that once in the past turned somebody into a wild magic sorcerer, and they're like, can it still do that?
It's kicking around.
And the other one that I had, which is a little too similar to yours, and now I need to kind of shift it. I'm gonna need you to come back to me. I had something very similar to Underground Group of Wizards.
Fair enough.
I had something in pretty much the same ballpark.
Michael, did you end up having time to craft yours?
I have one. I couldn't think of the second one. It's weird. But it's blood puddles keep on popping up. And nobody knows why, because nobody's dying. It's just random like not massive puddles, but like decent sized blood puddles just keep on popping up.
That's the hook.
Yes, that's the hook.
I like that.
Okay.
I have my...
It's fun because we start hinting at the wild magic in the area starting to kick in with that one.
I have my second one that I've come up with on the spot that I like, which is there is a fake alchemist who is being chased down because Romagon thinks he's real.
Yeah. Hell yeah, an imposter.
And so,
who
like,
just has tried to back out, but everybody's like, no, he's legit.
Yeah,
he's like, no.
He's selling, like, fake health potions that are just alcohol, caffeine, and coca leaves. And so everybody's like, no, his potions are legit. They make you feel amazing. And he's like, it's just drugs. It's not real.
Just a drug dealer. Yeah, I like that. That's awesome. So that's 5 plot hooks in addition to the main plot thread, which is he's looking for this thing, figure it out.
Tell you something, though? Blood puddles, I know that you said they're recent. Blood puddles does have me going like, blood puddles? Is there a ghost? Like, is there a specter? And I'm like, the specter of somebody who betrayed our
fucking
Lancer?
night.
Okay. So those are all great. Spencer, can you refresh my memory of your 2? I have Underground Mages, and I can't remember the second.
The other one is Romagon's Ring, and that's a competition to figure out who the most apt fighting party is in town.
Tournament arc.
Yes, sir. Always got to have a tournament arc, and of course it's here with this fighter.
Excuse me. Okay. So we've got a magic mirror, blood puddles, a con alchemist, underground mages, and a tournament arc. And then we need to figure out how you get this lance from Sir Bolden Strex's hand.
Yeah. You kill his long lost enemy who's been in the woods terrorizing this town for millennia, right?
I don't know. It's just tough because that's so squirrely. Like, it's such an odd angle. if we wanted to head, it's also just so direct. It's like go in the woods and kill a ghoul somewhere. Like I don't know if I think that that's the kind of thing that I want something a little more complicated because I need to know why Romagon can't do it. It's a good idea, but
that's where the placard on the bottom with a hidden riddle comes in. That brings you to somewhere. It's a scavenger hunt. You go from there to the next thing. From that next thing, you have to figure out where that final resting place was. You go there, you kill the dude, right?
yes. I have an idea for a lateral move I want to pitch. You don't need to. We don't need to do it. It just came to mind, and I want to get it out before it fades. A Bolden Strex. So you need to be a member of the same order of knights.
Ooh.
To take it, but
they all died.
But they're dead. They're all dead.
Yeah.
Their liege lord is dead, and so you need to track down like the abbey where they used to take their oaths. And a good aligned character needs to take the oath to be able to remove it from his hand, which is why Romagon can't do it. Romagon's evil aligned, and gives us a way to loop in Lestra Fellsmith, who thinks Romagon's a good guy. Because it gives Romagon, because it kind of shows the manipulation, right? Romagon needs a good aligned person, and Lestra, he thinks, is his way in, but they haven't located the abbey yet, or the whatever you call. I don't know what you call where knights are. I'm thinking
we'll call it an abbey.
I'm thinking Oblivion. Oblivion has the abbey with the like secret order of knights in it. That was when I was 12. I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world.
Like, I think it's just a temple, maybe. Either way, yeah. And you get there, and then there is the Revenant, White, whatever version of one of the knights who had betrayed our hero knight on the battlefield and was cursed. Whereas the other one was entombed in nature and holds onto a spear. This one is undead, and you have to kill him to get inside and do the right. It'd be.
Okay, so Lance and Owen can take Arrow, Order of Knights, Swear Oath. I think that's all pretty powerful stuff. It also gives us a place to stick a cool suit of plate armor with an enchantment. And everybody loves that.
Yeah.
Everybody loves plate armor that, like, once per day, you can have the damage from an incoming attack by using your reaction or whatever. Like, everybody wants that.
And even better, one of your players gets to be called Sir or Lady, whatever their name is. And they love that. That's even better.
Okay, so I think we've pretty much wrapped that one up in a bow, and that's awesome. Romagon is just trying to discover the secret to get this lance, because the lance is famously, like, incredibly powerful. Something I also think would be super funny is if the lance isn't, just because our players are going to interact with it at such an odd time. I think it would be kind of interesting if there's all these legends of the great power of this lance, and then it's like a +1. It's just that over time, those legends have made it seem better and better and better than it actually is. In real life, the players finally get it and attune to it, and it is a humble, like, +1 lance.
Yeah.
Which
I think if we could give it a little bit, like, not right off, but like if you do something super specific, it gets to be just a little bit better.
I mean, I'll tell you what, I've done it for you guys. I do it for you guys when we play D&D all the time. I'll just write a dormant awakened exalted stat block. When you first get the thing, it's a dormant lance that's a +1. After you've felled a couple of mighty foes and reached a seemingly significant enough point, it becomes awakened. It's a +2. It gains a couple more abilities. And then once you've used it to fell a creature of great evil, it becomes exalted and is incredibly powerful.
Hear me out. +1 lance at the beginning, and it has one cantrip on it, and it's Gentle Repose.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty fun. It's not really that useful, but people like Gentle Repose. It's not bad.
Yeah, we could do like gentle repose and then give it something like a small but meaningful boost. Just give it like something cool that it can do. And then yeah, it's one of the great gifts that Matthew Mercer gave the world of D&D is just three. It's just it goes through 3 phases and then you're like, oh, it's good, and that's it. It's like pretty functional. Okay, I like that. All right, so that's our big quest. We've solved that. I like it. He wants the lance because he's going to use it to power this basin. There's some fun irony in there that it's this great magical weapon and this fighter is so blind that he's going to use it as a battery instead of like actually doing something good with it. That's pretty cool. And that's our central thing. And I see I see how that is a full quest that takes multiple days, right? You have to find the secret of the lance. You need to find that this Order of Knights existed. You need to make your way all the way there. You need to go through a complicated ritual to become a member. You need to attune to it. You need to go back. You have the lance, but now you have it, and it is free. And if Romagon can just kill you, it's his. So it's the party voluntarily taking all that heat onto themselves. So that's pretty good. All right. So, and now we have these other plot hooks. How much more do we want to try to contextualize these a little bit? Or did we have some other stuff we wanted to do? Like,
I don't have anything else that I really want to do.
As of right now, we know that Romagon Brentis is a fighter set up in Lancer's Point with his captain, Lestra Fellsmith. They are hunting down magic users using a scrying pool that is in a wizard's tower. Romagon killed the wizard and is using the apprentice currently as an arcane battery. There is this apprentice that is being like drained of their life force to keep this scrying pool functioning. At Lancer's Point, there's a lance in the hand of the dead Sir Bolden Strex, who died 630 years ago. You must become a member of his same Order of Knights, swear the oath, and take that lance before Romagon can get his hands on it. Other things that are going on in the region: there is a magical mirror that in an age long past made somebody a sorcerer just by gazing into it. And people are seeking it for Romagon. Strange puddles of blood have begun to appear in the area, and nobody knows why. A fake alchemist has been mistaken for the real thing and is being viciously hunted by Romagon's soldiers. An underground cadre of mages are stuck in Lancer's Point. If they could get away, they could make themselves scarce and be safe. They can't. They're stuck. You need to find a way to sneak them out. And Romagon, in an effort to continue to seem the ever kind and dutiful duke of this land, is holding a tourney. You can win a day of beautiful food and wonderful company in Romagon's manor if you win the tourney. Fabulous. Also, they have to joust in Lancer's Point. And that's a perfect opportunity to do just that. There will be a jousting competition as a part of that. I mean, that's pretty solid. That's just 5 really good plot hooks, each of which promises some benefit for the party. And this central thing, I, as a DM, just getting this, I'd be very happy with. I'd be like, cool, I know what's going on. And then you, as a DM, can sort of connect these things of your own free will, right? Is the thinning of the veil making it so that making it so that Sir Bolden's other dead companions are beginning to become a little bit more real? And is that where the blood puddles are coming from? Is this does this con alchemist, is he here because he has heard a rumor of how to get the lance free? These underground mages, is one of them a historian of the local area and could give you this information and knows where the abbey is? This tournament arc would let you into Romagon's manor and you would get Romagon's research on the nature of the lance and how to take it. All of these quests pretty easily sort of plug in. We've got 45 minutes left. This is the kind of raw talent you eventually can hope to unlock by starting a live stream show with 2 of your best friends. It's been 42 minutes, and I think we've pretty much put a nice bow on Lancer's Point.
Yeah, we nailed it.
So how do we want to
Uh,
continue?
Well, let's determine what we're going to be doing next week, and then we can say, do we want to do more here? Do we want to just do a sampling of the next area, or what? What do we want to do next week?
Sorry, 1 second.
There you
You're
go.
I say we do a scheduling conflict, 45-minute long scheduling conflicts. We rip through an adventure that nobody's prepped for. Bing, bang, boom. We're all set.
So I've never gotten to do the scheduling conflicts.
No. For those who haven't watched scheduling conflicts, including Michael, scheduling conflicts, we do several different things, but what we've been doing most recently is a homebrew world named Fadia, where it's a high fantasy, like my father was killed by the wolves, and now I've sworn a pact with Ilmater to get him back. Whatever. That's the thing. But the fun thing is, we as DMs and players aren't allowed to prep anything more than an hour in advance, and more than one session in advance. So the town that gets made up on the spot, that exists now. Where? Who knows? Until we do more and more sessions, it gets more and more fleshed out. It's all on the spot.
It's been really fun. We accidentally discovered in a we did two. Spencer ran one with me and Stefan as the players, and then I ran one with Spencer and Stefan as the player. And after the fact, we were kind of like looking at it and realized that I had accidentally set mine like a couple hundred years before his, like not on purpose, but we were just looking at the descriptions and we were like, these aren't the same time period. Like they can't be.
Mine have like gas lanterns, and his absolutely don't. I was like, yeah.
And so that has honestly been really fun. Yeah, I mean, we've got 40. Our cutoff is 8 this evening. We kind of, for the record, for those of you watching in the future, 8:30. We kind of toggle between those two cutoff times. I take it we're 8 o'clock right now because your background is different. So, 45 minutes is not enough time to run a one shot, but we could try, or we could do something completely different. Kind of a toughie. Let's give me some time to think. Spencer, let's do a bit. Let's pull up a character, stat them out in D&D, while I ponder what to do with the rest of our time, because we're just so talented.
True.
We're just so skilled that we finished a little too, with a little bit too much proficiency here.
We're too punctual.
Yeah, we're too good at our job. I've got my list pulled up. Somebody roll D100.
There I got D100. We got 100.
Did we?
It has happened.
Huge get, guys. This is a huge poll. Sonic the Hedgehog.
My God.
What could Sonic be?
What?
Alright.
Okay. I'm just gonna have to decide this mentally because I can't open any of my stuff right now. Okay. I've got what I think he is.
Give me 1 minute to think.
Yeah, you're good.
Of course. For the record, this is one of the bits that we occasionally do, trying to sort of spice up the show. We have ones where we try to quickly attach, like, we get just like a monster and a setting and need to come up with a story that would connect that monster to that setting. We have this one where we take a pop culture figure and just try to sort of figure out how each of us would place them in D&D. We end up often going in really different directions with it in a way that is pretty fun. Walter White remains my favorite. We weren't sure if he was an alchemist or a mastermind rogue, and that was pretty great. Please, I mean, I vamped for so long.
Yeah, Michael, have you thought?
Yeah, I'd be cool with my answer now. Pose.
All right, Ethan, take it away.
Okay, it's a little bit just sort of what's on the tin here. But I am going to place him as, first of all, a monk for movement speed. And I'm going to put him as a Way of the Drunken Master, but it's Way of the Chili Dog Champion
Yeah.
monk.
Yeah.
Way of the Chili Dog Champion monk with the mobile feet. Tabaxi base build that's been reflavored as Hedgehog. So somebody who just really tried to stack movement speed, movement speed, movement speed, movement speed in a pretty real way. Because Tabaxi monk at the right level, you can get like up in the like 120s for movement speed. That's my pitch.
Makes sense. All right, Michael.
I also went with Monk.
Natural.
Yeah. I was thinking Tabaxi. And then like I was going through the subclass really quick, and nothing really quite stood out for me. Because I don't know Monk that well.
That's fair.
The other thing I was trying to think of was something with Druid, maybe.
I mean,
But-
he is from like an island.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is?
He's
Yeah.
on an idyllic island that is attacked by Dr. Eggman.
Gotcha. So the new
Or not
movies are
Robotnik.
not canon.
I haven't watched the new movies, not even a single
No?
second of any of them.
I've seen both of them.
I also
I think
know
the third one is coming out real
It
soon.
is.
Too.
I also know shockingly little about the sort of larger canon.
All right. Here's my pitch. I have two. Number one, let me start with none of these make sense. Number one, we have a Clockwork Soul Sorcerer. And I know what you're thinking.
That's kind of fun.
Sonic the Hedgehog has no magic. That's true.
First of all, don't be a nerd. Shut your mouth.
Shut the hell up. But here's what I'm thinking. The cosmic force of order has suffused you with magic. The power arises from Mechanus or a realm like it, and its existence is shaped entirely by clockwork efficiency. You or someone from your lineage might have become entangled in the machinations of the Modrons, the orderly beings who inhabit Mechanus.
I don't hate it.
Whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. Here's what I'm thinking. Sonic the Hedgehog is clearly a chaos-based dude because he runs fast. But from what I can recollect about Sonic the Hedgehog, he is actively fighting like tiny robots constantly.
Yes. The animal friends are trapped in little robot suits.
Exactly. So my thought is his great-great-great-grandfather or whatever had gotten involved in this Mechanus-inspired Robotnik shit. Down the lineage, he is now dealing with the consequences of that and still has those Modron-esque powers. That's one. Two is Chronergy Wizard. There ain't no fucking way that hedgehog is running that fast without time magic. And that's all my argument is.
I love the fiction that Sonic is not fast and just can do time magic. It's that Sonic the Hedgehog is not quick in any way, shape, or form. He just casts time stop and fucking walks there. Is pretty funny. Okay. I think these are all really good options. I don't even think we necessarily need a winner, especially because I've decided what we're doing. So I have our my cartoonish and really quite poor map of Prospect up in the corner. For those of you at home, I tried to make one to put out, and we got done and it was like, well, that'll never see the light of day. But so I have it up, and I think we are going to name the 3 lands that the Life Woken Empire, the Lephalum Empire, finds its home on. I think that that's a good use of our time, and I think that I have the tools. We have the tools, we have the talent, and I think that we got this. Okay.
Technology.
Yeah, let me get out I need to make sure I have the hand tools that I don't destroy what I have been working on here. So, the continent that Prospect takes place on is a sort of has like a large central area and then a peninsula coming off of the southwest, and there was a peninsula coming off of the northeast, but it has been destroyed, and that is the Barrens and the Sundered Isles. we have discovered that we are none too fond of the name, and mainly because I just couldn't come up with anything I liked, of the name for the sort of part that the Life Woken Empire has taken over. So there's sort of a large swath of land that they are in control of. In the southernmost center of the continent. One is in the mountains, where there's a tremendous amount of forest and foliage, and is the battlefront for their war with the Federation of Elders. The center is the most peaceful and prosperous section. It is lightly forested and gives way to sort of savanna, because the desert is to the north. That is the heart, and that is where Lophyllum, the capital, is. And if you continue to the east, you get their expansion that goes right up against the Barrens, which is where the Arcane Empire was before it was destroyed. And that is just military outposts. Almost nobody is living a casual life out there. Our three central cities is Lophyllum, which is located in the sort of northern center. That is the governmental capital. We have Seraphael, which is in the sort of southern center. That is the historical center. And then quite far to the south, we have Kyridian, which is the military capital. Because it is right up against the Federation, and is in fact like a 3 days march from Zentrovillum, the military capital of the Federation of Elders. So they are actually really close to each other, which I think is kind of fun. So we need to name this area of the world. I originally had it in my notes as 3, but looking at the map, I think it's mostly 2. It's just a question of, do they differentiate this very stable part of the empire from the part that is up against the Barrens?
Here's what I'm thinking. I think that they don't differentiate. Within themselves, they don't differentiate. It is the Lophyllum Empire, period. I think to everybody else, because they need to delineate somehow where you're supposed to be going, they call, this is my thought, where they are touching the Federation is the front. That's what people call it. That's the front. That's where the danger is. The central area is the heartland, which, heart, life.
Yeah.
The top, I was thinking like no man's land, something like that. It's barracks. They're not really living there. But I didn't really love no man's land. I did like Heartland.
It's just that we know that in a pretty constant way, terrible things wander out of that desert, and so there needs to be military encampments there. It is, in fact, in the lore that we have written since, one of the main reasons that the Lophyllum Empire and the city of Bastion get along so closely is that there are military outposts to the north of that spot, sort of sliding along the outside of the Barrens, where Pylordian soldiers and Lophyllum soldiers work together in the same places, because it is just that dangerous. Okay, so we have the front, we have the heartland, and we have this other place that we know has a name that is sort of has a negative connotation. And we also know that if the Lophyllum Empire had their druthers, it would just be called the Empire, but they've never really managed to nail that down.
I'm thinking something like about brackish waters, because it's where they're intermingling with the others, like the Bracks, something like that.
That's so good. Can somebody Google that and make sure that it's not connected to like a horrible historical thing? Because the Bracks is so good.
I'll see.
And for the record, for those of you at home, that's like a third of world building. Is just Googling the stuff you come up with to make sure it's not connected to horrible historical real events.
So far nothing. Let me put that in quotes just to be sure. Now, there's the Brax Grill. Brax Lock. No, looks good.
No, because we
Brax
know
Ministry. 65th Ministry of the Government of Victoria.
whatever.
We're good.
Okay, so I think I like this. So we know that a lot of the worst things that were created by the Great Calamity or Cataclysm, we have it as the Cataclysm because of mercy. We have the Cataclysm, is that the ocean is filled with horrible creatures beyond your imagination, which I like because it's funny to think of. Our instinct is to think of the land there as what is very scary. But to the people who live there, who remember that there used to be a continent there, that part of the ocean would be what was so scary. So to them, that is just, you know, this like horrifying thing. And the wastes, this sort of like muddy desert, is the brackish waste. It is this place. You know, to other people, it's the Barrens. To the people of the Leflem Empire, it's the brackish waste. Because the creatures that emerge often have flippers and gills. They seem able to do both things. And so its colloquial name is the Brax. Which I love because it has this really fun, like, it's making me think of Siberia. It's like if you piss someone off as a member of the military, you get reassigned to the Brax and you will be there for 5 years. Like, you'll just have to serve a terrible tour of duty in this horrible place. So we have the Brax, which is the brackish waste, is its sort of more formal name. In the center, we have the Heartland. I think that the name that the Empire is probably most comfortable with would be either Respice's heart or the heart of Respice, right?
Yeah.
Because they literally see themselves as an extension of their god. So that's pretty good. The front. How do I want a name that lets us know that there are dragons on the other side.
They're in mountains, right?
Yes, it is deep in the mountains.
All right. The sun is scaled.
I was thinking scale too. I don't know how to tie it in. As like scale mail, that's nothing.
I have something that's
Scaled rocks.
kind of a joke about our world, but that I do think is funny. I'm being drawn to the scaled curtain.
The scaled what?
The scaled curtain, like the Iron Curtain.
Oh.
Or like the scaled wall, or my question
Scaled
is,
dome.
does this, we have to make a very important decision because it'll change the name. Does this border do this every year, or has it been in the same place for 50 years? Like, is there a line of World War I style trenches that move an inch every 6 months, or does this front really move over the course of years and decades?
I think it stays put because the dragons are so territorial. This is theirs.
But what's,
they move 100 yards in and they get immolated. It's like you can't make that big of a movement.
Okay. So that means the reference here would be that the front, whatever it is, doesn't move, right? It's a constant battlefield. There's, it's year after year after year after year. Terrible conflict happens here. Many, many, many people die. But it doesn't change anything. The front has been in the same spot forever.
Yeah. Earthen scale?
I was thinking like the chromatic front.
That sounds good.
Or the elemental. They all have different breath weapons.
The horns of the earth. Or horns of... Not earth, but...
We also, it's not all dragons. We know that. There are a few others. Like, there's a couple that are ruled by other creatures. But it seems like it's mostly draconic. It's
like
tough.
Ancient front.
Isn't
the
it
elder front.
Isn't it so funny to come up with an entire adventure setting in 13 seconds and to then be like, what do we name this one border? And it takes you 40 minutes.
Awful.
It is tough. I like the Heart of Respice. I like the brackish waste, and it makes the front feel kind of odd, right? one half wants it to sound like this glorious thing, right? Because it's important for people to go to war and hopelessly die on this front that never moves, means that the Nephilim Empire lies, right? They make it sound like a glorious battlefield where heroes are made, because they have to. Otherwise, they would have had some sort of minor to moderate revolution at this point. So it needs to be kind of glorified, but at the same time, the Federation is just so strong that you just can't actually push into their lands. Trying to take land from them is it's hopeless. Like, it's just not even worth your time. One dragon will arrive and fight for an hour, and any progress you've made is immediately wiped off the map.
What does that the feeling of that, of knowing like, a blue dragon will show up at any second and destroy everything? It's like, what I'm trying to think, like, that's almost godlike strength. Like, how do you put that into words for a battlefield? Like, what would that be? What would that sound like? Fucking, I don't know.
Yeah, and like the Eternal Front,
Yeah, I said Elder Front before, and I'm like, that's close, but it's not quite right.
Yeah.
It could be leaning on them being monsters, like harkening back to that designation, because they are monsters.
Yeah.
Faded front.
Something unnatural. Because
It's
they would
tough. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
Well, we
know.
can't stop talking.
No.
No.
I think we need to put a pin in that one and try and circle back to it later on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a toughie. I wish there was something I could do with, like, it's where Zentrovylum and Kyridian fight. And so what's funny is I'm looking at our map, and the front there's a river that is the front, because there's Zentrovylum, and then there's a big river that they use to ferry ships up to Remgastelon. Then there's a river in the middle, and then there's a river that Kyridian is up against. So it's city, river, 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 city. So that river's the front.
Yeah.
What's it called when, like, maybe like the unsated maw?
Honestly, now wait a minute, because the maw is pretty good.
Pretty sick.
Because the maw, from the Empire's perspective, is a good name because it implies this foreboding sense. But for the dragons is also good because it's
pretty badass.
It's, to them, it's like a meat grinder. You know what I mean? Like, it's the worst place you can end up. The unsated maw, the unclosed maw.
What's a word for it's never, or like you're never full, or never ending?
It's unsated.
Unsated is.
Yeah, but unsated is kind of, I get what Michael's going for. Unsated is kind of wordy. Unsated, the ravening maw.
The ravenous maw, even. That sounds more
this
like
is
an inn.
a good one. We know
Jagged
roughly what a draconic in this world sounds like, so we could give it a name in draconic that translates roughly to the maw.
Yeah.
Which it could be fun. Also, this is again some real nerd shit. I like the idea. I always love when a word doesn't translate well. So I like the idea that, so we know it's like Remgastelon, Zentrovylum. We're getting these like larger, when I came up with a lot of these names, it's names that don't need your lips a lot. Zentrovylum. Like, it's things that it looks like a dragon could say. So I kind of like the idea that for the Federation, this place is called like Shornaktar. And if you translate that, it translates really roughly to the maw, but what doesn't get conveyed is this concept of unending hunger that just can't really translate well, because it's referencing something in draconic culture, which is like the need to hoard eternally. Is that anything? Because then we get the maw, but we also have like a formal name for the area.
Yeah. And I bet people will just call it the meat grinder. But besides that,
Mhm.
people
Yeah.
that aren't in those empires be like, "Oh, the meat grinder? Yeah, don't go there."
All right, we're finally free of that area of the world. We now
We've done it.
have a new area to turn our attentions to. We have a mountain chain that is so fucking long. We have an impossibly long mountain chain that stretches from the northernmost point of the continent and just cuts it on the diagonal. In an age past, this used to cut the continent in half. So now our map looks really strange because it looks really unbalanced in a way it wouldn't be geologically, because there's this section that was sundered and destroyed in the cataclysm. So we have this giant mountain chain which is cut into two sections. The northern part, which is where Bastion is, that is far from the dangerous areas of the world, and the southern part, which is where Edifice used to be, that is right up against the Barrens. So we have a safe area that has long been host to Bastion, and we have this southern area that is much less safe and is right up against the Barrens, the Lephalum Empire, and the Tomb Desert.
The mountain is going to be rough. I've been thinking about the mountain for 2 hours, and like, the problem with naming a mountain is most mountains are just like the Greenhorn Mountains. It's like, all right, we can't just do some shit like that, or the Appalachian Mountains named after the region, or named after whoever discovered them. We can just name it after somebody who discovered them. That feels a little bit cheap.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
full
there's
range.
something for the fact that it probably had a name before they stuck Bastion on top of it. And we also know that Bastion is built on what used to be a volcano, because we did make that canon at one point, which is pretty good. It is
Perfect.
attached to a geothermal vent. We know that that is true. So I think there is certainly something for, like, the... I'm getting the sense that, like, it's on a geothermal vent, but it's safe to be there. I kind of want, like, does the mountain rumble?
I was just thinking the Rumble Ridges.
Like, does it rumble? Is there this sense that every now and again Bastion will, like, shake a little bit?
Yeah. And it makes sense because of the plate tectonics we've already got sort of built into our world.
Which of the three gods do we have? Do we think that they might resonate with this ridge?
I mean, Vildarin's the god of nature.
We could do Vildera's something, or the Knuckles of Vildera, or
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I think the music track has ended.
Yeah, it's probably the end of it.
Yeah, so like I
think
like the
that-
idea that it like burbles and rumbles a little bit, that it sort of like shifts, especially because that would affect people living, because we know that Bastion is sort of layered, and that fancier people live to the north, live up. And I like that because if you take something like that and you shake it, the bottom is going to be extremely disturbed and the top is just going to kind of stay mostly stable in a way that I enjoy. I think it makes a lot of sense. I like the idea of connecting it to Vildarin. I like the idea of connecting it to this like rumbling tenor that comes from it.
Vildarin's Whispers.
The Whispering Peaks.
Whispering Peaks is pretty good. If we didn't like Vildarin's voice, or like,
Yeah, I was thinking Vildarin's voice, but then it's like the Vildarin's voice mountain range is like, all right, now we're getting a little bit too much.
well,
I think if
I'm naming a
we name-
mountain. I'm not naming a
Yeah,
range.
the individual mountain. Okay. I think the mountain being Vildarin's voice is great. Then we're left with the range.
Yeah, so
It could just be the Vildarin Peaks.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Vildarin's voice. I think that's fun. It rumbles, and I think that before they built Bastion, what happened? And I think that before they built Bastion, I like the idea that this was a holy site. That they would listen to these earthquakes and try to like interpret things, which attaches it to a larger mountain range. So is it Vildarin's voice? And can I so hear me out. It's Vildarin's voice, and the mountains are the Oracle Peaks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I like it because of like the way that volcanoes work. I like the idea that where this sound is centered shifts. And so the whole range used to be called the Oracle Peaks because it would shift. Those earthquakes would move up and down the range. Now, the nature people who once lived there have all been have died off, been mostly killed by the forces of Bastion to secure the region. And now it's just called Bastion. But those who remember know that Bastion is built atop a mountain called Vildarin's Voice, which was once part of the Oracle Peaks. This range of mountains where you could listen to the burbling sounds of the earth and divine your future. But now it's just because it's in line with our thesis for the whole thing, right? It used to be this place where you could like intuit your future and commune with the gods. But to the technocracy, it's just a power source. It's just a thing to plug a city into.
Perfect.
Love that. And now we have the sort of southern reach of the mountains. We have this sort of other half of the range. A lot more dangerous. It is mostly where where the Empire has power. Right? They took these mountains when Edifice abandoned them.
What is the climate like there?
We've never decided.
Nice.
Not a joke. We have no climate assigned to the entire continent. I have no idea. I know we have 2 deserts.
That's what I was wondering if it was in one of those.
Here's the problem. We have 2 deserts. Both deserts were caused by disasters. Neither of these are natural. Actually, that's not true. We know that the Deathwoken set up in a desert on purpose. So yeah, these mountains on their eastern border have a desert that is naturally there. There's no river flows from the mountains in through that area, which is, for the record, for those of you at home, that's just all a desert is. A desert is just a place where, because of the layout of mountains and other things, no rivers go through it, and so it's just dry and arid. All of the rivers that come off of this chain of mountains flow right along them south and make the big river that the Lephalem Empire built Lophyllum at the mouth of. On the other side, it was once a beautiful part of the continent that has now become a desert because of the cataclysm. So pretty different feelings on both sides. The fact that it used to belong to the Empire, and then the Empire was destroyed, and then it belonged to the technocracy, and then the city of Edifice took off, is drawing me to the Orphan Range, the Orphan Peaks. Like, are they named for the fact that they have been abandoned twice now?
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I like it.
I also don't hate just the abandoned peaks. Nobody travels through there. Nobody goes there. It's just it's the terrible hike between a horrible desert full of horrors and civilization.
Yeah, I would go with the Orphan Range. Our music bot is not working.
That's okay.
That's all right.
You know, these things do happen.
We're at the end anyhow.
The Orphaned Range. And we do not have a significant mountain to name here. We don't. There is no central. The tallest mountain in our world is here, but I don't know if we feel like naming that today. Our tallest mountain is about 3/5 of the way down the mountain chain. Is the highest peak.
Was it hit by the Cataclysm at all? The huge influx of magic?
It's like just outside of it.
Because I would have called it like the Bleached Peak if all of the vegetation had been ripped away from it, and
I mean, hey
it is
man,
now.
here's the cool thing about coming up with your world. It is
Say whatever.
now. The Bleached Peak. Love that. Okay. And with that, something that before we started this stream, they told me, well, we're going to have to work on that. I have turned into part of the stream. So we have named some of the areas of our world. We have the Maw, which has a long draconian name that implies some more detail. We have the Heart of Respis, colloquially called the Heartland. We have the Brackish Waste, called the Bracks, by local people who don't want to go there. And we have the Oracle Peaks with the Mountain of Vildarin's voice. And we have the Orphaned Range, home to the tallest mountain in Prospect, the Bleached Peak, which was once famous for the sort of vibrant beauty of it that was like coral that has died off of a reef, was turned into this stark granite, pretty much gravestone for the Arcane Empire. It's this constant reminder of what happened. This pale mountain that marks the border between the rest of the world and the Brackish Waste, and the barrens beyond it. I think we have done some pretty stellar world building here. I think we've
That's
pretty
some good
much
shit
put a
right
pin
there.
in it. With 8 minutes on the clock,
Dang.
I think we can sort of probably call it here. We've got a good hour and 19 minutes in the bag. We got some good work done today. And for those of you at home, you got to watch a lot of basically what world building looks like. You know, you sort of bounce off ideas, and sometimes it's great. And it just leads you to, like, he's looking for a magic item, Lancer's Point, it's a lance, a guy's holding it, that's how you get it. Fantastic. Rattles down the side, good as gold. And then sometimes you spend 30 minutes trying to name a river that there's a fight happening near. These things, they do happen.
Give and a take. It balances out to a normal amount of time.
I think with that, Spencer, because you're the one that knows the spiel, I'm going to kick it back to you to sign us off, because the music bot's not going, and it's making it kind of creepy in here.
Fair. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to DM Writer's Room. We are no longer doing season and episode numbers because we feel like that's sort of stopping people from wanting to check in. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of the DM Writer's Room. You can catch this stream every Thursday from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch our Theros actual play D&D stream. That is 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard. You can follow us on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. We post memes, we do videos, we give advice. TTRP Guy or TTRP Guys, depending on what service you're looking through. There's also TTRPguy.com where we post blogs, reviews, articles, all that good stuff. Thank you. Follow, like, subscribe, share with your friends, comment.